Hello, everyone. It's time for another episode of Twins Week in Baseball on the Tribe Fan 879 YouTube channel. Today, we will cover 2 out of the 3 games not played on YouTube and played offline, and we will go over the first 3 games of the Twins-Astros series before the lead-in to the second game of a doubleheader, Game 4 of the series, which will be played on the channel. And I will also go over the next couple of games that will be played on the channel. But let's go back, and we'll go back to August 5th, 2016, when the Tampa Bay Rays hosted the Minnesota Twins. And this was Ervin Santana against Blake Snell. Now, this wasn't Blake Snell 2018, but Blake Snell was still pretty darn good. Low-scoring game. We go to the top half of the third. And with 1 out, Byron Buxton with a 1-out single. The 2 walks loaded the bases, and then Max Kepler walked home as well, and that made it 1-0 Twins. And that lead would stay until the bottom half of the 5th, with 1-out single by Steven Souza Jr. Gordon Beckham moved into second, and then Luke Miley with a RBI double tied the game at 1. And it would stay that way until the bottom of the 9th when Paul Molitor decided to leave in Michael Tonkin in a tie game and completely forgot he was garbage against lefties when Brad Miller took him deep for the first batter in the bottom of the 9th, and that's a walk-off. So Michael Tonkin gets the loss. Erasmo Ramirez pitched a scoreless 9th to give the Rays the win. Now, most of you probably saw Game 110 on the channel. A heartbreaking loss for the Twins as well. Good game. Go check it out. All right, and now we go to the final game of this series. This is Kyle Gibson against Matt Andriese. And the Twins also get out early in this game. 2-out solo home run by Max Kepler, his 8th of the year, puts the Twins on top 1-0. We go to the top half of the third when the Twins add to their lead. Danny Santana with a leadoff walk. 2 groundouts move him to third, and then Max Kepler again. RBI single. That makes it 2-0. The Rays would cut the deficit in half when Brad Miller again goes deep for the second game in a row off of Kyle, and this time off Kyle Gibson. That makes it a 2-1 game for the Twins. The Twins would make it a 3-1 game in the top half of the 6th. Let's see. A 1-out single by Danny Santana. He goes to third on an RBI double. And then, actually, no, not an RBI double. It was a double to center field. They tried to send Santana home, but a great relay gets him at the plate. Well, that's kind of the way things go. But to the Twins' credit, after a Robbie Grossman strikeout, walks to Max Kepler and Miguel Sano, and then Eddie Rosario brings in Max Kepler, and that makes it 3-1. However, here's where the Twins kind of fall apart. Gibson went into the 6th. He got the first batter to strike out. Franklin singled, but then tried to steal second, was caught. However, a walk and a single put runners on first and third, and they went to the bullpen for Trevor May, and all he did was give up a double to Mikey Matuk. That scored Evan Longoria and Brad Miller, and that made it 3-3. And then we go to the bottom half of the 9th again. This time Brandon Kintzler comes in a tie game. Leadoff single, and then a little dribbler single, puts runners on first and second. Then Steven Souza didn't do a double play to put a runner on third. However, Miguel Sano's glove would cost them in the end. He boots the ball, throws it away, and the Rays walk it off for the second time in the series. 4-3 is your final. Brandon Kintzler gets the loss, and Brad Boxberger gets the win. So that puts the losing streak at 9. However, things would turn around once the Astros came to town because the Twins finally busted out. So this is game 1 against the Astros, game 112. This is Colin McHugh against Tyler Duffy. And you'll notice a sort of theme here. Twins get out early in the bottom half of the second. Eddie Rosario, a leadoff single. He goes to third on a Juan Centeno single. And then Danny Santana beats out a ground ball. And that scores Rosario and puts the Twins up 1-0. And then they go off in the bottom half of the third. Let's see here. Leadoff single by Joe Mauer. Walks to Max Kepler and Miguel Sano load the bases. And then a 2-run single by Trevor Plouffe making his return from a long stay on the disabled list. That scored Mauer and Kepler and puts runners on first and third. Yes. And then Eddie Rosario laces a triple. That'll score 2. And then 2 batters later, Juan Centeno with an RBI ground out. That makes it 6-0 Twins. The Astros would come crawling back. Top half of the 5th, leadoff double by Carlos Gomez. Single by Jake Marisnick scores Gomez. That makes it 6-1. We go to the top half of the 6th. That was it for Duffy after 5. Tommy Malone comes in. He was not much better. Thankfully, limited damage here. Leadoff walk to Carlos Correa. Evan Gattis singles him to second. Marwin González singles to load the bases. And then after a shallow fly ball by, let's see here. I know I have his name here somewhere. AJ Reed. Carlos Gomez, a sac fly. That made it 6-2. And that'd be the only run they score in the 6th. Things got a little dicey in the 7th. They continued with Malone. He gave up a leadoff single to Tony Kemp. And then they brought in Taylor Rogers. And he promptly gives up a home run to Alex Bregman. And that made it 6-4. The Astros would draw a run closer. George Springer follows with a double after the Bregman homer. And then 2 batters later, Evan Gattis makes it 6-5. However, the Twins said, we want a little bit more breathing room here. We go to the bottom half of the 7th. This is Tony Sipp pitching. Get that into view there. Leadoff single by Joe Mauer. Double by Kepler puts runners on second and third. And then Sipp uncorks a wild pitch to score Mauer. And then Trevor Plouffe with his 3rd RBI of the day, a sacrifice fly. That made it 8-5. And that's your final. Brandon Kinsler retires the side in the 9th for the save. Duffy gets the win going 5 innings. McHugh gets the loss, giving up 6 in 3 innings. Woof. All right, we go to the next game, which is Mike Fiers, the man who threw a no-hitter in 2019, against Hector Santiago, and Hector Santiago pitched a brilliant game. All right, well, it didn't start off well. First batter of the game, George Springer sees a pitch he likes and yanks it out of here. So the Astros get on top 1-0, but in the bottom of the second, Fiers runs into a little bit of problems. Leadoff single by Miguel Sano, and then Trevor Plouffe says, I can hit the ball out of the yard. And he does, a 2-run homer. his 11th on the year and 40th RBI. They continued with an Eddie Rosario single, moves to second on a ground out, and then Kurt Suzuki with his first RBI of the day. He will have another one coming up later. That made it 3-1. Speaking of Kurt Suzuki, here he comes after a leadoff triple by Jorge Polanco. Kurt Suzuki playing that fundamental baseball. You get a runner on third, you hit a deep fly ball, and he comes in to score. So that made it 4-1, sorry. The Twins would pick up another run in the bottom of the eighth. Will Harris pitching? Sure. 2-out solo home run to Eddie Rosario, his 11th of the year. And then Taylor Rogers comes in the ninth when it was 5-1. Got the first batter out, Springer, and then Bregman doubles, and then José Altuve RBI single. That makes it 5-2. However, Carlos Correa bounced into a double play, ending the game. Twins win 5-2. Hector Santiago goes 7 innings, giving up a run on 5 hits. Mike Fiers goes 5 innings, giving up 4 runs for the loss. Okay, and the August 10th game was rained out, so here is the first game of the doubleheader on August 11th. This would have been Doug Fister against Jose Barrios, and this was not a good way for both managers to see your team on the first day of a doubleheader. Astros get out first. Barrios played Wild Thing in the first inning. 4 walks equals a run. That's about all I have to say. Then Tucker double play ground out ends the inning. However, the Twins would answer back on Fister. Single by Dozier, goes to third on a Joe Mauer double, loads the bases for Max. Kepler loads the bases on a walk. And then Kenny Vargas sac fly, makes it 1-0. And then Eddie Rosario, his second game in a row with a home run, 3-run bomb, makes it 4-1. And then they really put the hurting on Fister in the bottom half of the second. Juan Centeno leadoff single. Double by Dozier puts runners on second and third. Walk to Mauer loads the bases. And then Max Kepler with an RBI, a 2 RBI single, scoring Centeno and Dozier. That makes it 7-0. And it's time for Fister to go to the showers. That brings up Jandel Gustave. Forgive me if I've mispronounced that. I doubt any Astros fans remember him from 2016, but hey, if you do, go for it. His first batter is Kenny Vargas, and he goes deep for a 3-run bomb. His 5th of the year, 4th RBI on the day. That gives him 15 for the year, and that makes it 9-0. And you'd have thought this had been smooth sailing, but yeah, if you thought that, you haven't watched the Twins replay at all. Because somehow the Twins have to make this close, or else the opponent has to. All right, we start with the top half of the third. The journey starts with a José Altuve double. He goes to second on Marwin González single and scores on a Tucker single. That makes it 9-2. They would get a lot closer in the 4th inning. 1 out single by Jason Castro goes to third on a Springer double. And then they would all score on the 3-run homer by Alex Bregman. That makes it 9-5. A little Dolly Parton reference there. And then in the top of the 5th, they were trying to get Barrios to get through the 5th inning to at least get him a decision. Not so fast. He struck out Reed to lead off the fifth. However, Jake Marisnick goes deep. That made it 9-6. And Paul Molitor just had enough. He went to Taylor Rogers, and he pitched the next inning in 2/3, scoreless. So we'll figure this out at the end. I won't spoil it. Top of the 7th inning, one out walk to Tucker, and then Jake Marisnick with a double after a Reed deep fly out that moved Tucker to second. That made it 9-7, and that's thankfully as close as it would get. Kinsler pitches a scoreless ninth. Now, since Barrios did not go the 5 innings, it is scorekeeper's discretion on who gets the win. And since Chagua gave up a run on an inning later on, I'm going to give the win to Taylor Rogers. He went an inning and 2/3 scoreless to get the win. And Pfister gets the loss. He went an inning and a third, giving up the 8 runs. All right, well, we'll go with a bit of news here. There is still one more game left in this series. This is game 2. It'll be Chris Davinsky against Tommy Milone. Thankfully, the Astros will get some pitching because they will need it. And we'll get Mr. Chapman there. The Twins are actually in good shape. They will go with Tommy Milone. And if one game wasn't enough, the next game after this will be the next game, game 116. This will be Yordano Ventura, rest in peace, versus Kyle Gibson. And then after that is another 2-game series, this time in Atlanta. Ervin Santana against Joel De La Cruz, and I will actually have to bust out the pitcher hitting cards, which will actually be kind of fun. So, all right, everybody. Just a little recap here. If this is the first time you're watching, thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button and hit that bell icon. You'll be notified whenever new videos come out. And that's it for Twins Week in Baseball. Whatever games you play, may they be lively and good. Have a good night, everybody.